Generator's offline, so I'm gonna go see if I can...
Craig?
Oh, fuck.
You're cutting off, darling.
We're under attack.
What?
We're under attack. I repeat, we are under attack.
Craig.
Home base, come in.
Home base?
The wires have been cut.
Can you restore the power?
Negative. Like I said, they cut the...
Craig? Craig?
No, there's no Craig here.
Johnny?
Gorbachev.
John boy, what are you doing?
Nothing. I thought we were just saying each other's names.
I'll see you in a second.
Ya tú me des no le vamos.
Okay, Toodles.
Nakamura, how do you think?
Head like a drum, banging on your motherfucking head like a drum. You hear the cracking sound of bone snapping, pop locking, chest boxing, guards back in action. Try to add it up, you get struck with subtraction. Reduce your whole fucking crew down to a fraction. Break your bodies down to the smallest compound. Slam dunk your ground and there's no rebound. There's no place to run when I step to you, son. I'm banging on your head like a drum. I'm banging on your ass on the ground. Legs and meds on the ground. Your whole house is surrounded like the feds on the ground. This is fatal. Whirlwind, human tornado. Top Saki, Green Hornet and Kato. Hard body, big back and black the Machado. Guard body, party, do karate at the party. Naughty by nature when I'm facing what. Banging on your head like a drum. Sledgehammer bust through the lungs. You call from the blast of my gun. Me and my brother, we stand here as one. Banging on your head like a drum. Banging on your head like a drum. Banging on your motherfucking head like a drum. Banging the hottie. Honey lemon chaser, suburban and Matati. There's no place to run when I step to you, son. I'm banging on your head like a drum. Banging on your head like a drum. Banging on your motherfucking head like a drum. Banging on your head like a drum. Banging on your motherfucking head like a drum.
Obviously, Psycho runs in the family. Let's go.
On your head like a drum. Banging on your head like a drum.
I think he's dead.
Don't tell Layla.
Into Beirut!
Detective, that is uncalled for.
Are you gaslighting us?
You want to tell me why the Yakuza want you dead?
You have to ask them.
Yakuza? That's it?
I can't have two guys who look like they eat steroid pancakes for breakfast turning my island.
That was?
You blew up my car.
I blew up their car and then it landed on yours.
They just blew up your car.
No.
Whoa. They tried to kill me.
Sword fight. Just stir up trouble. That's what you do.
That's what I do because I'm a cop.
Not here, you're not.
Our father was murdered.
Was it hit and run?
I don't think so.
Well, this should be fun.
Yeah, I'm pumped. We gotta find out who killed him.
I guarantee you'll end up poking a bear that doesn't want to.
Ninjas on bikes.
Not talking more shooting.
You got fat. You got old.
Be poked.
Take my word for it when I tell you that I'm the bear.
So, you two been chasing murderers in a...
Why does your car go faster?
minivan?
Yeah, he blew up my other car.
Yeah,
That's not what
surprised
happened.
me at all.
Literally what happened.
No, it's not.
In this video, I want you to move the Rat King Theo. We will discuss the storyline, summarize the plot, and explore the cast and character. Additionally, we will cover the movie's production unbox. Finally, we will provide reviews and share personal reactions. So, let's get started. Who could have predicted that The Literal Weapon would turn out to be one of the most influential films ever made? The film's writer, Shan Black, could probably guess he never lacked confidence. The original draft of Little Weapon included a smart-out like a description of a creep mentioned as the kind of the house I will buy when this movie is a huge height. It was a result, the buddy action formula, that provided us a string of Box of His Heads from Bush Cursor in The Sun's Gate, and of John Satch Knight through 48 Hour and Running Scared Me, Gibson's long-haired widow, societal loner cop Martin Imrie gets partnered with Danning Glover's alter. Wiser, more mayor family man roar Al, they start out hurting each other. By the end, each man has gained a new friend, and a once isolated rig is welcomed into the Motor family. The Prime Video of Movie with Iraq is another entry in the win, complete with the story be familiar from Black's first produce secret in the funnel half and an overall backdoor, especially in the dialogue that plays a rock-solid family. Man James H., former Navy SEAL, turned drill instructor who has a house near a beautiful and charming child psychologist life. Laya Randy, two adorable kids, plays a loose cannon, partner James' half-brother Johnny, a long-haired, hard-drinking, impious cap on a reservation who is introduced, getting fed by his long-neglected girlfriend, Valentina, on her birthday, when she asks Tommy if you know what it is. He passes nervously, then guesses why there have been then for more than 20 years, but Eventwater and sleazy Private Eye gets killed in a head-and-run accident while working in a chaos in Hornello. Johnny swallows his pride and flies to a heavier Far Unreal, setting up the inevitable reconciliation, plus lots of skillfully choreographed, sometimes silly, funny action sequences. It's all sprinkled with adventure, some of it openly hostile, some profane and teasing but affectionate, deep down like some brothers would say to each other while refusing. Of course, the mystery turned out to be one more variant of China involving a very sketchy real estate deal, and left any name of a conspiracy that goes right to the top. Please have a fictional governor, Patrick, who of course is part of a conspiracy. A governor does not show up at the funeral of a bottom-feeding private detective, even though his sons are bloated, unless he's connected to the main story and a family guiding us to it. Clay's Bank plays real estate mogul Marcos and hires a sugar fortune who hopes to get even richer from his gram. Naturally, there is a small army of security guys and henchmen for the brother to punch, shoot, stab, any instant trait, mix of city, roaming food. Soldier a band of form attack journey is demanding a thumb drive he supposedly sent him, and a scar of Jim Bedham with his questy military haircut, and yes, there's a word, repulsive drench, chief henchman, and a reptilian dandy who saw consign of a drink throw at one of blamed-out parties. Then John Jim, who is posing as a caterer, right to his fears. What P.S. ranking crew, what seeing, is what cast and filmmakers to video material simply put this movie is a better than its synopsis suggests. Not good enough to entirely overcome the component parts. Any alternatively joking and sentimental tone, which is harder to pull up than studio executives seem to think more so than lead weapon Casey Woke to less successful, yet still much loved schmovies, Kiss, Bang Bang, and a nice squooction is about. But most of his modesty skill and the characters are written and performed in a way that make them recognizable human. Brothers are two cup character, two guys who look like they eat steroid pancake for breakfast. Momo Anda are two of the best character to become movie stars by passing through the superhero factory, and they get a chance to prove it here while still dreaming what was M will expect shortcut explosion, fat horses, insult moment of manly vulnerability, and the scene where the brother get into a huge brawl. They are convincingly as scared away, but tightly warned older brother with a sable, home life, and life film, boy play, self-destructive younger brother, whose adulthood has been wrapped by rage, and What Happened to Dam Road, the brother's childhood. It compares the murder of Johnny's mother, Johnny's awkward absorption, by the Hell family, Walter's chronic infidently, which resulted in Johnny's birth. It's an indicator of the movies, recognizes that the most impressive scene. It's an etiquette indicator of the movie's specialness that the most impressive skin is not a brother-on-brothers fight in povering rain, but the aftermatch when they see together on the pavement, bra and bloody, and talk about the source of their heart runner-up in the moment when the brothers embarrass at the end of their mission, beaten and spent, and the mask of the elder's whole falls away, revealingly scared a little boy who needed more love than he got, and the older brother who failed to prove it. Jonathan Troper, who adopted this, is aware I Leave You and co-created the action series. Then she and your wrote this, which has more nons and death than you would expect in movie, where drug and car fly through dire before exploding. It has a binding theme, forgiveness, and is filled with the journalistic detail of modern culture locating the initial killing in a Honolulu neighborhood where such things have happened in real life. Sending the burden in homeland which is severed under the MOCA system of resources management, reserving the soundtrack slot of the indicious music and popping conversation with localium and slang, Johnny character Askar. Indeed, the entire movie is a tribute to the specific of distinct culture and the richness of a society that bring them together while acknowledging that diffusion was forced by colonialism and crony capitalism, and Daddy and Guard have justified resentment over that. The cast is filled with actual Hawaiians, especially indigened, including Leomo, with half-native Hivion admitted under the Aino as Latino Act of 1983. Even Gass, who honored Harrow, directed Angel Manuel Soto, who came to Hollywood by way of San John Torrey, has made 3 films in a row. Here is a sight to a dreaming action thriller comedy that is a throwback to the kind of repulsed funfair that turned money back in the 80s and 90s. Oh, the presence of a Phil Colonies banger on the soundtrack, and a reference to Jean-Claude Van Damme Arel. One assumed the target or SIDS are male of all ages by the bloodless for highly choreographed casual violence and stunt interpretive whip. As such, it gets a job done, thrown in a bell and whistles you would expect. Yes, you really lost bite. Right, because the ranking crew offers a mild enlightened therapy 2020 on the channel going so far as to give one of the main character a child psychologist wife who is ready to diagnose his emotional dissections. When does secret growth require otherwise action is dominated by Jeb, and Jason's mom playing excessively Mercy, called Abandoned Inc., initially as a half-brother James and Johnny, who spend the film trying to work out who killed their father Vulture in a hit and run an incident. James is one with the child psychologist wife. He trains Marion and his discipline. So late, citizen, only slightly sibling with Rich Johnny, and Oklahoma-based up is more flame when she both sold roasting and irresponsible. A classic younger brother. According to all those TikTok, a video about siblings but other Walter that reunite them in their home state of he, which, yes, showcase in a specially flattering a way, with plenty of pretty location photography and drone shots at the same time as the Kryjitan dropper who wrote and show recent TV series, which is literally more interesting than it needed to be, acknowledges that there's a plenty of corruption in paradise with previous gangster group and corrupt figures, key to exploiting her island beautify their own interest. The most obviously nefarious character is Irish businessman named Robin, which French name obviously hint at affect monarchy. He's played by that muffin task projecting cruelty just by affecting a British accent and wearing a chap knot. The final big boss banger between him and Momo is a guest as in the chemistry between the Momo and who love a tubal loss, who clearly like each other. The whole package is an easily digested quality player. In 1936, Johann Scott, son of Delayed Guardian's owner and the legendary editor C.P. Scott, did something unheard of all media. He gave up his stake for the greater good. After inheriting the newspaper, Scott renounced for financial benefit for his salary. In the Guardian Award film at the time and around $62 million to them, and pass ownership over to be newly formed trust, that trust would evolve to the half commission to secure the financial and editorial independent Saudi Guardian in perpetuality. That means the Guardians can't be brought not by private equality, not by a conglomerate, and definitely not where billionaire looking for a political mode basis. I saw the teaser go up on Amazon yesterday for the Wrecking G26, the hubs. And I, as usually, watch TV on waking night, work the next day and all, but that scene with the seatbelt caught any attention. I thought, why not, and wished the idea to be my husband. We bought it via good buddy cop comedy and board glow upon films like A Hot First Man in Blackbush, Ranhow, and the like. So we smuggled up for a great ride and quickly discovered the promising C was a final cleanser for us. This promise of W she knew, her homemade, the perfect choice to wear down to the dare. I did not think people made movies like this anymore, and I must say it's nice to see an old-school body action movie like Ranking Crew. It would have been great to witness on the big screen. But seeing as the weather is so bad outside lately, I am quite happy to watch this in the comfort for my own home. Dave and the Jackson Momo are perfectly cast as two estranged brothers brought together after their father is killed. They have their own personal problem to work through while avoiding being killed by the whoever killer their dad. Add to the Ranking Crew is bad. There really is some specular action here, especially in the final. We get some fantastic first scene and epic bad guy. That's so the writers clearly understand. As Jenner, the car isn't the only light on as a feature, noticeable, CC, and green. But arts aside from their Jenner are some real explosion too. The music score even feed electric culture, which just had to be classic action film. The ending leave things open for potential sequel, which I hope we get to. Just love this. Dave and Justin Momo carried the weight of a body called Blow Arm on a formidable soldier in director Angel Manuel's photo, that ranking you a slightly higher, great action film that will chase you with fresh concept and funny banter, while simultaneously deflating you would buy the number 12 in Twisters. The writing crew leverages the combined of its two superhero leaders for an 80s by 90s style throwback adventure, but it's not how successful an air joke that actually lined flowing through Jason's Momo and saved a mega mess of the wrecking crew would be enough to Fossier Crisis for decade. The pair put her persona and Patrick Holt to work in the action comedy, playing Beefy being half Badgers doing out-joke, and the hardcore violence in equal measure never skewing for enough in either direction to reach the lovable of the Fast and Furious film or the brutality of dire video brawl instead of wrecking your car about between journal-like food by Detroit for 2 hours. The sack cycles between the family drama goofy no major, and vomp bang slugfest. The decision, at least it showcases some consistency in Thea-ish approach in a quality dissatisfying directed by Angel Manuel Sojo and written by the Janichin proper. The wrecking crew pitches a familiar writer. Two purely boys of opposing temperament have the team out to discover crime. Hings and a munching body counts in show, but strange siblings jam. Despite how they are introduced, are effectively the same Avino-Me department. The wrecking crew may initially insist that JM is a situation required in Heave, and Johnny is a drunken biker coindy, but home when Dad is murdered there to figure out what happened and merge into a single stern bad boy, living through two regard from the too simple set of the Enneal Graham. Their private father home leader have spoken. Junior sends Looney a package right before he's run by a van in the opening scene. The ranking crew tried to self his plot with convolution, and the runaround a kind of decluttering misdirection, and there's usually hand-waved way by the cynical atmosphere and hangdog detectives of no. Here Johnny and James are the exact same kind of Vanas bambling through our mystery, clear to everyone but them, and various new characters slot easily into a predominant second play. There is a local cop road who services as a Sarrow, little weapon captain. There is a shady businessman and family friend politician. Obviously, in COD, there is a comic relief dragon node who desperately need to be escaped this typecasting, and the brother's wife-girlfriend who existed to alternately nag and thrown over the lead hound for is supplied by the Yakuza, an Ikian mob. If this looks like a bullet is not used, grab on the hour before a big presentation about your Momo theme of movie that's representative for what it feels like watching the wrecking crew. The geo-musical shows weight of story with a tone that is clear only in its aggression. Interesting clam glitches and love-filled emotional melodrama with the big swinging stupidity I see is. Greater moment out of evil Deadrise energy. Cask like you F. Shake-chan. And it's fair, Johan Kenna. Perhaps the most disappointing part of the Wrecking G is that both Momu and have rocked with a A-type to charm. 4 proper secrets towards self-awareness with every other side characters commenting on the lead's undeniable dumb joke era, and they have every opportunity to rebel, engages, and is constantly playing by the book military men. They fall into this steroid job without over-embarrassing it. They are playing stupid, but not stupid enough, and are too similar, kind of super, to generate any kind of drumming infliction between them. Their biking is to do less, and their approaches to investigating underworld mostly involve highly telegraph punching. Soto-Cities are similarly underwhelming, seen as storming a compound, and outrunning a helicopter are as derivative as the janitor fight scene, making Jay old by hallway. The event-setting dueling better promises than egoless charisma of its lead, and more made her superhero character into enjoyable dancing sailor. Not to mention your abilities to get silly indicators, movie offer plan, to set a rocking crew aboard both from his brainless action contemporaries, and as a trail to the dreaming star vehicle pier. But outside of Sam, locals' blank and sandy shooting locations, there's little that memorable events, his wife and entangle action, are typically and notable for a true handle. Like this is rarely the case where a film would actually be improved by the leaning into the forest impulses. The Anal Manual S-directed film directing crew presented an action-heavy story with 2 dysfunctional brothers. At the narrative center, Knaves James Hell and Reservation Cop Johnny are half-brothers who have not spoken to each other in a year. Nevertheless, they are forced back into each other's life when their father, Water, passes away in an unexpected and unexpected accident, whereas the 2 brothers privately show up around on incident on her own. They can't help but suspect full blame from the accuser, young gangers, circling the aftermath of the private investigator, that to the early convenient shy neighborhood in which the accident took place, that you notice was number of red flag. Consequently, when the bubbling part of an underlying conspiracy begins to come to a head, the 2 Hell have no choice but no port difference, aside and chim up to bring their father's mysterious color to justice. Spoiler ahead, Water Hill dies during the Chinese New Year, run over by a van in an inconspicuous trade when his son James Anavis is brought in to identify the body. He does not seem surprised by the turn of event, as if he was expecting to be only a murder out. Initially, he tried to put off informing his stage-off brother, Joni a body and the upcoming funeral. Nonetheless, his wife Layla ends up reaching out to be Younger's held brother. The news arrives at a bad time for Joy, who loses both in a girlfriend Valentina and his job getting suspended as a reservation cop. In the same week, furthermore, on the heels of Layla's phone call, he gets attacked by a pair of the Yakuza gangster who seem to be after a mysterious package. They suspect Watcher and sent him before his dead. As such, Johnny ends up traveling to Hav to end his father's Alpha reunion. Between the 2 brothers remain rough, wry-speaking and petty, a gormand. James is quick to be anger when he realizes that the other man is looking to insecurate W's otherwise usual death. As it turned out, Johnny had previously snared out trouble for himself in his younger year, trying to investigate the death of his mother, which he believed to be an orchestrated murder. Therefore, the Navy cell is worried his brother might bring trouble back to his family's doorstep. Even so, one's idea is implemented in his head. He also grows suspicious of the circumstances around versus dead. Consequently, The two brothers end up conducting their own secret investigation until their part inevitably coverage. Thanks to some hidden document in Walter's office, the two brothers discovered some casino blueprint that seemed to be blank to Marcus Roby, a local hotel tycoon, as soon they decided to infiltrate his upcoming fundraisers event. At the event, Johnny learns that his father was here, hired by Marcus' wife Monica, to dig up dirt on her husband and build up to a divorce. They set up meeting place and time to further discuss the matter away from freeing eyes. Her by timely suspended cop arrives at a planned location for the meeting. Monica has already been murdered in the immediate aftermath. Johnny tries to storm away in his anger and only succeed in finding himself in a prison of lock-up. Fortunately, his family's connection to Peter, the local governor, help him out of the bind. Yet an angry James waiting for him on the other side as the two brothers engaged in a violent first fight. Years of worried promotion eventually surface. As it turned out, years ago, Johnny got into a major trouble with a local gang hider. Mr. X's home he believed to be behind his mother's death. Things got so complicated that his own life was constantly at risk. For the same reason, James came up with the solution of sending Joan away, likely after him, so that he could find a new home and safe start. However, to the younger brother who had just lost his mother and was dealing with an absent father, these were too much like abandonment for the same reason. The two have been having problems ever since when they finally confront his matter. Something between them. Afterwards, he as brothers return home. John receives a call from his ex-girlfriend. Apparently, something had come in mail for the suspended Co as a center. The red of Johnny's murder remains a constant shadow presence in the narrative throughout the film. Much of the Coff's collection are driven by the leftover grief and confusion he still feel about his mother. When a younger Hell was a teenager, he saw his mother get brutally murdered in the middle of the street. Nonetheless, he could not do anything to protect her. As a result, he became obsessed with defining her mother's murder and bringing them to justice until the obsession eventually brought him to an ugly place in his life. His father was, and flaky as ever, and his half-brother also tried to push him away in the name of safety for the same reasons. Journey has been carrying the weight of his pain, resentment, and guilt for all this year. In some way, the lack of colors about his mother's that pushes him to grow single-minded in his near-to-be-avenged water. Despite a dangerous situation, things end up working out for Journey and in the end bring him a closer over to his brother. His contribution to solving the mystery between Evolger and also created an invaded beneficiary. Mr. The Letter is happy to see the end of Gangsters, which opened a treat back exclusively for him and his gang. Therefore, as a tank, he passes some vital information to John. All these years, the younger Hell has assumed that Mixer X was behind his mother's death. Nevertheless, the gangster gives him a note with the name of the actual person behind the death of Joni's mother. Surprisingly enough, after sharing the note with James, the former cop ends up burning in favor of spending some quality time with his family. The action showcases Comment, who is choosing to enjoy the present with his family, added, and obsessing over revenge for the past for the same reason. The name of the real killer remains a mystery to the Orises, cementing change for the brothers, while still keeping the possibility open for another wing to unfold in a potential future sequel. Unlike the dad of Johnny's mother, while her mother plays a more instrumental role in the story, once the two brothers got her hand on the package their father sent to younger brother. They began to connect the price of the overarching conspiracy. The package sent to a journey contains a term drive that contains a code wallet. Fortunately, James managed to go with a funny password among WER's belongings, which gives them an accessory code wallet. Through the transaction's history, the Hill brothers, Valentina and Pika, are able to figure out that they have been paying big money to politicians. The politician turns out to be none other than Pear. As a result, the piece of puzzle began to fall into place, has been waiting for an opportunity to build a casino in Hawaii for a long time. Nevertheless, the place's local law, gambling, makes it impossible to achieve his wrong dream for the same reason. He tried to buy the governor's elegant alliance by paying him $12 million. Nonetheless, the illegal partnership takes a dangerous turn when Monica hired Water as a private investigator to snow out her husband's murder. She is trying to divorce a businessman and knows that she will need real doubt on him to be able to walk away from their marriage unscattered. Water ends up stumbling across the transaction history between Pattern as well as the latest blueprint for the casino. As such, he became the first target. Robus uses his security detail, which includes prominent members, to be Major Vulture and says he's left as an incident. Unfortunately for him, by any private investigator had already sent a thumb drive carrying the evidence to his son, John Roas, and his men keep a close eye on Walter's son in the aftermath of the letter's death. It's why Akusa members pay G an unfriendly visit in Oklahoma. Therefore, when they realizes the suspended cop has someone flying in from the city, they realizes something must be afforded. They already suspect him of being in possession avoidance. As such, Robisa's sense of clever, including an armed chopper after journey. Luckily, the Sale brother and their friends manage to survive the violent affair. However, when they return home, they realizes the businessman has yet a generative plan to extract the evidence from them. Yakuza had attacked themselves and his cousin's nanny hostage. Soon enough, make the call to set up a trade of meeting with the pair of brother. Unsurprisingly, Johnny and Jim have no intention to giving in to the villain's whim. The two armed themselves with a Navy SEAL is just a short trove of weapons and some evil. Even a businessman is initially confident in his security. It quickly become evident that his guard and Yagusa are not a match for Johnny and James. As a result, eventually ends up abandoning the premises, attempt to escape while the brothers save their family member. Even so, before he can sail away on his boat, Johnny catches up to him. In the end, their confirmation ends with a Johnny pulling the drug trigger on the grenade, which ultimately kills the business plan, to taking his corrupt plan for a casino dawn with him with clear from the board. There is only one shing left for Johnny and Jim. To-Do P is a close family friend, to be held having been around for most of the brothers' childhood. Even so, his business are bigger than his positive impact. As a governor, Parr has betrayed the trust of his constituents and was actively involved in a scheme to give away homeland for the construction of an otherwise illegal casino. Furthermore, as his illegal ventures continued to cause trouble, he inventedly become involved in adding the cover-up of Walter Sade. As such, it's no surprise that Hill brother end up reporting Pijer and his crime to the police. In the end, the governor is arrested and taken his custody. Given the amount of direct evidence Donnie and James have, proving the politician connection to the Robisus F, will likely face each other's consequences for his action. The Wrecking Crew is a film in the action comedy, but Caper is directed by the angel Manuel Stowe, while Jonathan Tropper wrote the second play. The film is produced by Jeffrey Fearson, Jess Mad Scar, and was released on January 28, 26 on Amazon Prime Video. His official synopsis as per Letterbox. The Wrecking Crew is about your half-B brother Joni and James, while Johnny is a police officer. James is a employed in Navy SEAL. Their father was mysteriously murdered in Hawaii. Both brothers have to come together to solve the crime. Toward the end of Wrecking Crew, Das is the real villain of his story, is casino owner who was interested in the island. His wife died, which made the brothers more suspicion of him. They realizes that she was cure of rubies. He also kidnapped people close to the brothers for leverage. He was looking to attract investors in the casino in Hawaii. For that, he need to be help of Bohr and officials. Governor Peter also gets involved. Walter Hill was a private investigator who was hired by the wife. She wanted him to scoop out some evidence against her husband for a divorce. Walter found proof that Rubies was laundering money. He took the information and tried to leave the area. Walter also sent on J evidence to Johnny. This also triggered the Yakuza gang, who then decided to eliminate Johnny's. Both brothers also revealed their uncle Peter's involvement in the scheme. Directing Crew also showcases Johnny and James in a jostle. The tension goes way back to their childhood. Johnny was a result of an affair between Walter and Jim's mother. James keeps taunting Johnny as Walter's best bastard. However, does slowly come close while investigating their father's death. The two manage to move past their differences after mission. While the film is an action comedy story on the surface, it's mainly the story of a family. The brothers have the differences and they don't like each other, but they manage to have a strong bond on a deeper level. That trauma they experiences as still color their decision today. Towards the end, they manage to overcome their fear and insecurity. James agrees to follow Joni's life. Meanwhile, Johnny managed to control his anger, which cost him his career. He was suspended for killing a drug dealer, but he's not trying to be changed man. The films end on a sweet note as brothers resolve their issue. The Wrecking Crew, expanding the record's queue on Prime Video, is built like a classic body action film with modern scale. Lord-fired crashing vehicle and constant banger powered the story. But emotional drive for Kim come from Juha brother trying to understand why their father was killed. West is a hit and run. Investigations slowly turn into a deep conspiracy involving land grab, organized crime, and political corruption in Hawaii. By the time the film reaches the explosive final, Joan and James Hill are no longer fighting each other. They are fighting the system that destroyed a family and ending twice that journey together. What a Hill private investigator is killed in what authorities first label a hit and run. Johnny refuses to believe it as the brother's follower kills. They discover Water had uncovered evidence against wealthy businessman Marcus Robus Robiscus. The evidence stored on a pen drive Vulture mailed to Johnny before his dead expose illegal land development plan. Criminal tries and bride official link to a massive glass project on protected heaven land. Robes is not working alone. He has for the Acusa enforcers who try to recover the pen, drive and eliminate anyone connected to Vulture. He's also protected by powerful local leadership, including Governor Patcher, who is deeply involved in pushing the casino plan forward. This turns a personal revenge story into a burger takedown of organized crime and political corruption. Johnny is a reckless and emotional. James is a disciplined and direct. Their argument revealed years of resentment toward Walter and toward each other. As they uncover more of Walter's work, they realizes the capsicker to protect them from the criminal word he was investigating. The truth forces them to stop blaming the past and start working together in the present. Their bone become the emotional center of him, realizes he is a closing control, and kidnap Layla and Hani to Leo de Brothers out. This pushes Donnie and James into a confirmation. The film explode into a massive highway chest. Cars crash, gunfire erupt, and a helicopter joined the track. Inside the compound action slide, James fight through God to be rescued hostage in a brutal room fight. He is a train and combat rating empower to Yakuza, presence protecting them. Ruby has defeated Johnny in their final struggle with no option left. Johnny pulls out a green guard and detonate into front of both of them. The explosion kills Robic gas instantly. James lives in pulls, Johnny out of the water and debris saving his life. It is dramatic, over the top, and completely fighting for the film stone. Moby that Walter's pen, Drive evidence is finally used. The illegal casino project is exposed. Governor Zmai is arrested for his role in the corruption. The criminal network that protected the Razors began to fall apart. What a final act succeeded! Johnny is later given the name of the man responsible for his mother years ago. After everything he has gone through, he makes a surprising decision. He chooses not to chase revenge. He leaves the past behind and decided to move forward with his brother instead. This moment shows how much he has changed. The film chases on a peaceful note. Joni and James finally share a moment of understanding. They are no longer two angry men tried together by tragedy. They are better who have chosen each other. The action stars The Healing Began. Direct in Rio A on Amazon Prime Video on January 28, 2026. Directed by Angel Manuel Stowe. This film stars Jason's mom and Jay as a strange half-B brother who are forced to team up. The movie makes his explosive stand with a family drama set against a beautiful backdrop produced by MCM. It features a strong sporting cast including the Morrison and Clay Bank. Johnny and James H. reconciled after their father. Walter is killed in a stage hit and run. They discover a West scheme involving a governor and Marcus Robus, a casino billionaire. The final sees a pro-brother storming the enemy compound to rescue their loved ones from certain death. A Croic battle lead to a green air explosion and a daring water rescue that cement-born between a brother, the movie, and read a cliffhanger for a sequel, but with a family where Johnny makes a life-changing decision after a surprises visit from the local crime lord, Mr. The Wrecking Crew is a story that goes beyond simple action, focusing deeply on the relationship between two broken brothers. The brothers discovered that their father was killed because he found proof in an illegal casino game. Robicus and Gordon Pattern were working together to build casino on protected land. The brothers find a USB drum with evidence of $12 million bribe, which forces the villains to take drastic measure, leading to the explosive final confirmation. The final act began when Robus kidnapped James' wife and his daughter Nanny. He holed to force his brother to back down. This incident forces Johnny and James to stop fighting each other and work as a perfect gym. They swarm a state wing John F. of the Yakuza soldier. These sequences highlight that they have finally moved past their childhood grow. They are no longer just hi brother who cared each other. They are partners fighting for their family. Combat with a primarily will occur, while rescuing is a nasty antagonist who will kill anyone to define his investment. Johnny X Hollywood and warfare. He pulled the grenade, Hippo and the thread. Robus dies and sentenced C in the explosion, ending his corruption. The enormous blast throws Johnny into the ocean, knocking him out and sinking him rapidly. This is the film's most emotional moment in The Wrecking Crew. James and Johnny clashed about his history. Johnny felt abandoned after James left years earlier. When his siblings sink, James jump in without investigation, he says, Monty Journey by pulling him to be surface. Symbolically, his incident erases their incosity. James ensures he will never desert his brother again by saving him, repairing their childhood spread, while brother handled a physical threat. The legal threat is also neutralized. The evidence from Walter's USB drive is used to expose Governor Peter Moe. He is arrested for corruption and bribe. This incident validates B's hair that he did not join where he is discovery, brought on a corrupt political empire. The arrest created a way of the brothers to return to normal life. The looking over their shoulder after the violence end, the film shift to a peaceful S. The family is having a barbecue on the beach celebrating their survival. Both Chassons, Momo, and Jay had a Palura, a project in recent year. The Wrecking Crew looks at the James Hill and Momo's Johnny Hill, who are strange brothers, brought back together to uncover a conspiracy around their father. James and Zoni have been apart for over a decade, but conflict, anger, and merch all brought them back together in a low-stakes action comedy that won't win any award, but will provide a fun popcorn film. There have been many incredible on-screen deals over the decade, but Momo and Arnie in a raking clue. The appear proved that they not only are gay together in this movie, but also deserve to continue pairing up in future film. They have an effortless chemistry and easily fall into comfortable role within the dynamic. Mom is brash, reckless, love drinking, and is full of anger over how his father and brother treated him, and his mother, who has since passed away. It feels perfectly suited to not only Momo's personality, but also plays into his wheelhouse as an actor, while Momo can excel in serious role, like in Chief of War. The acting crew projection comedy is ideal for him. On the flip side, also finds a role that is perfect for him in the post-Guardian of the Galaxy era. James is the polar opposite of Journey. He is a dad in the Navy and has everything under control at all time. Yet he still struggled with not only his own mistake, but a mistake his brother made as well. Throughout the movie, he keeps everything under control, yet executes a sense of danger and power. It only deserves to make him character more interesting and stands out from almost more Lord personality. The two work so well together. It becomes unbelievable that they have not done work together before. Their dynamic, along with the over-the-top action, makes the movie feels like an 80s body cop film, similar to Django and Cash or Little Weapon with Batista and Momo and Coring and Jolting. Their room energy is infectious and continue to draw in the audiences. Even when the story holds of prayers to excite their performances, keep people watching. They dynamic elite the rest of the movie and have to bring it out of obscurity, making it well worth watching. It is wonderful to see the birth of a new on-screen that could easily go on to create countless movies together. What really helped to make them pop beyond chemistry is that the characters are so able to stand on their own. The characters operate independently almost as well together. Ash is attentive to their part of her story and is enjoyable to watch as they figure out their own part of the mystery. While Momo and Beasta are great, the story is extremely lacking from predictable villain to lackluster choices. The movie does almost nothing fresh. Even the premises of the movie feels like it has been done a dozen times. The death of a loved one bringing a three back together has been done almost as many times as a long gunslinger saving a tone in a western, while the light plow does create a familiar feeling for the goddesses. It also creates a sense of immense predictable day as the movie go for bit. It's easy to see many of the choices coming to point that a film should not have human, better to hide them in the first place. Even when a movie tried to build emotional moment, it become difficult to buy into. There is so little development given to the deeper B that it feels almost silly when the movie gives in to them. While the films obviously can't be non-stop action, it also does not perform strongly at balancing the emotional development with the eventual payoff that the film's gifts. The other issue comes from the supporting task and a lack of a real role for the movie. The biggest voice is Maruna, who is a wonderful talent that is not truly used to her potential. She essentially becomes a megapine in the movie. She delivers exposition, currently solves problem, and has skill that just so happen to be exactly what the team need in that moment. Movies like Red Heat and Beverly Gives Up are well remembered, and while King won't gain the same level of neutrality, it evoked the same style. James and Joni balance their grip and venture with incredible burst of action and explosion. The action also remains just as hilariously unrealistic as in decade past, from being next to massive exposure and walking away unsettled to being able to take on unbelievable amount of a punishment and shake it off by the next scene. There is no sense of realism and really does not need to be in this kind of movie. The action is fun and exciting, and data come from how out gorgeous it is. The acting crew is also very aware of the vibe that is trying to bring to the screen. It even goes as far to make some 80s references like Vent, and even the use of the Yakuza within the movie feels like it fits in perfectly with the 80s feeling of the entire movie. The racking view gives fans exactly what you would expect going into the movie. It is a fun popcorn flake that delivers at the line-fueled fun. Her body cop dynamic and great performances from Momo and Beasta, while the plot may fail to impress, it make for a comfortable, easy-to-S movie that he back to the simple production of deities. Momo and Jay have had a plethora of projects in a recent year, but the Wrecking Crew Me's era for both of them has announced the Wrecking Crew may not be a perfect film, but what it lacks in subsistence and make up for style. Jacchio and looks at James Hill and Momo's Johnny Hill, who are strange brothers brought back together to uncover a conspiracy around her father. James and Johnny have been a part of over a decade, but Conflict Anchor and Mal brought him back together in the Hall action comedy that won't win any awards, but will provide a fun popcorn flick expresses. There have been a mainly incredible on-screen deal over Dedicated, but Momo and Batista are new to this on-screen in a ranking. The pair proved Daddy not only are great together in this movie, but also deserve to continue pairing up in future film. They have an effortless chemistry and easily fall into the comfortable role within the dynamic. Momo John is brash, reckless, loving, loves drinking, and is full of anger. Our house father and brothers treated him and his mother, who has since passed away. It feels perfectly suited to not only Momo personality, but also plays into his wheelhouse as an actor, while Momo can excel in serious role like in C for War. The rocking Q-Pro detection comedy is ideal for him. On the flip side, also finds a role that is perfect for him in the Postcardian at the Galaxy era. James is the power polar opposite of Johnny. He is a dad in the Navy and has everything under control at all time, yet he still struggles with not only his own mistake, but a mistake his brother made as well. Throughout the movie, he keeps everything under control. It excuses a sense of danger and power. It only deserved to make his greater more interesting and stand out from almost more out-loud personality, that you work so well together. It becomes unbelievable that they have not done work together before. Their dynamic, along with the ovary co-op action, makes a movie feel like an 80s body cop film. Similarly in Django and Casual Leader, Weapon, and Momo, including the inn routing their own screen energy is infectious and continue to draw in the adduces, even when the story low, to fail to excite their performances, keep people watching. They dynamically wear the rest of the movie and have to bring it out of obscurity, making it well worth watching. It is wonderful to see the B of a new on-screen pair that could easily go on to create countless movies together. What really helps to make them pop beyond chemistry's ideal character are also able to stand on their own. The characters operate independently, almost as well as together. Each feel authentic to their part of the story and is enjoyable to watch as they figure out their own part of the industry. If there was one character that lived over the other, Momo would be the standout. His boyish charm are effortless and easily allowed viewer to connect with him and story in the film. Now, while Mamu and What is the Argate, the story is extremely lacking. From relatable villain to lackless, which the movie does nothing. Even the premises of the movie feels like it has been done a dozen times, that have a loved one. Bringing strange people back together has been done almost as many times as a long gunslinger gives saving a tone in a Western. While does create a familess feeling for yours, it also creates a sense of immense predictable as the movie goes on. Wait for it. It's easy to see many of the twists coming to point that a film should not have even bothered to hide them in the first place. Even when a movie starts a build emotional moment as becomes difficult to buy into. There is so little development given to the deeper bits, and the feel are more silly when a movie gives in to them. While a film obviously can't be non-stop action, it also does not perform strongly at balancing the emotional development with the eventual payoff that the films gives. The other issue comes from the sporting cast and a lack of a real role within the movie. The biggest facing Morena, who is a wonderful talent that is not really used to be potential. She essentially becomes a mag in the movie. She delivers exposition currently, solves problem, and has skill that just so happen to be exactly what the team need. Is that moment beyond other fail to break in Princeton in a full edition, but mostly serves as if part of joke rather than a real character. There just was not a lot of space for the sporting cast to have meaningful role alongside Momo and Lionfield Action Room. Directing crews certainly create a nostal action, heavy movies, 48 Days roll, the clock back and drop in standalone, and in a movie would still work as well. Momo and Batista Gam and Al Ward version of me start after the hit and bring the same attitude to the screen. Movies like Red Hat and Beverly Hill Cop are well remembered, and while The Breaking Crew won't gain the same level of notoriety, it evoked the same style James and Johnny balance a web and venture with their incredible burst of reaction and explosion. The action also remains just as hilariously unrealistic as an Indicate boss. From being next to the massive explosion and walking away, unscattered to being able to take an unbelievable amount, the punishment, and shake it off by the next scene. There's no sense of realism, and it really doesn't need to be in this kind of movie. The action is fun and exciting, and that all come from how gorgeous it is. The Wrecking Crew is also very aware of the vibe that is trying to bring to its agree. It even goes as far to make for some 80s references like a Van Jam, and even the use of the Yakuza within the movie feels like it fit in perfectly with 80s feeling of the entire movie. Directing crew gives fan exactly what they would expect going to the movie. It is a fun popcorn flick that delivers underfueled feel, a body cop dynamic, and great performances from Momo and Bisa. While the plot may fail to impress, it still makes for a comfortable, easy-to-stream movie that here comes back to the simple direction. Film of The Wrecking Crew is streaming on January 28, 26 on Prime Video. Nora King looks at a Vertica's James Hill and Momo's Journey Hill, while his heart brothers brought back together to uncover a conspiracy around her father. James and Johnny have been apart for over a decade, but Gun Fate Anger and Murder Hall brought him back together in a low-state action comedy that won't win any award, but will provide a fun expo. But Mom and Biska are new onto this in the working, the proof that not only are gay together in this, but also desire to continue pairing up in future film. They have an effortless chemistry and easily fall into the comfortable role with any dynamic. Momo is brash, reckless, loves Rinky, and is full of anger or how his father and brother treated him, and his mother, who has his passed away. It feels perfectly suited to not only Momo personality, but also play into the wheelhouse as an actor. John Momo and J-Star, a new action movie that has become an instant streaming success worldwide for Prime Video. Momo and Bisa's career have seen the actor play major role in different superhero franchises thus far. Momo gave love to Aquaman in DCCU, now set to play Lobo in Supergirl, while played Dark in Marvel Cinematic Universe. Both in their superhero movie work and outside of it, that they had demonstrated their skill when it come to action. Not only do they have imposing frames, but the stars know how to sell hard-hitting extension sequences. It is banking on those performances that the new Prime Video original movie united, and the results are as positive as expected. According to a Flick Patrol, Directing View is currently the most watched movie on Prime Radio worldwide. The action film debuted on a streaming services on January 28th, merely a day after its release. The movie is already topping Private Joke chart over the globe. The rest of the worldwide top 3 include a John Wick spine of Ballerina and a world drama The Tank. The Prime Video's action movie success is taking at a time of writing. The Rakingo is a most watched movie on Prime Video in 40 countries. Some of those nations include Brazil, France, Germany, Italy, Spain, the United Kingdom, and many more. Damo and Bista action comedy film is also trending in other sport in the top of them in 11 countries. Nationwide Prime Video's new weighted reaction movie is also finding a huge success. The Wrecking is a Prime Video's most watched movie in the United States. Momo and Batista have managed to surpass one like Snare, which recently broke an Oscar record for most nomination. The Wrecking paying success comes after the R8 detection movie, the beauty to critical acclaim on Rotten Tomatoes. The Wrecking Q is currently at a positive 81% critic score. The film's ranks a little lower with fans at the moment as it produces score rates at 77%. The Wrecking Crew score should fluctuate throughout its first week on Prime Video. In second Wrecking Crew review, writer Grant Herman gave us Momo and Jar detection movie for 7 out of 10 score. According to the review, Jasmu and Jav Biska are a fantastic D with plenty of chemistry. The movie was directed by Blue Beetle's Angel Manuel Soldier. He would be open to a sequel to The Wrecking Crew depending on his success. Do might Porion and Brace of Impact, because they and Momo have come to Wrecking all in Wrecking View, a big blessin' be soaked by the action borer that storms into a screen with the unapologetics figure. This is old-school action energy injected with a modern tongue attitude, and it leaves us one hell of a ride. Satan gazed the sun, then drenched Bad Eyes and Shadow Cream in underbelly. Off a Wrecking Crew hears a G and never lets up guided angel manual. Soldier pulls from the big heads of a body. Coer while gleefully tearing up her rule book, crafting a film the face similar as J. Farrell classic, yet unhygiene. The result is a line dress that kicks off 2026 with a disowning knuckle-cracking bank. To half her brother Johnny Johnson's a loose cannon, tribal cop, and James Hell, dissipacey behind their father's murder in Hawaii, at the height of the Wrecking Crew as Strange her brother forces into an uneasy alliance. Ja Momo plays Journey Hill, a reckless undercover tribal cop. The devil make your attitude and a long trail of broken roll behind him when a brawling criminal conspiracy threatened to tear her high apart. Johnny and James are forced to confront not just the bad guys, but hear of unresolved resentment. Lashing wild and shared blood, they rather forget. What follows is a calm, sight mix of his bullets and a brotherhood, as your mind genotional weight, Benef and brothers bound to be and sacrifice. So to direct him feel like a man with nothing to lose and everything to prove. There is no East End here, just booze, bullet and bad seed labor with a few raw confident, while the film tips is to be General Sill Weapon and Bad Boys Tango, and cash it refuses to play bad role. There's a greedy punk rock cursing through the Working Crew. Simply Pordra and Chasin Momo are having an absolute blast, and his mom lays to his prelimin low cannon outlaw, who tries on joist hangers at the film as historic contrabalance, springing to your void, gravitas and control fury. Jim Hill together, they generate electric chemistry with brisere and physical presence that dominate every frame, whether they outshed result cracking skull or bossing. Should heart of bad guys. Their back and forth is unlessly entertaining when the bullets start flying and the explosion kick off. Both actor and Odyssey is exactly what it would become modern action royalty. This is movie star energy, plain and simple. The King of the Ho brother is that spotting example that brings serious, yet Jacob Bond pops as speaker, as the yet endlessly lovable God who injected humor and heart into the man. While Marina, back in command attention, was venting a dangerous limb from Johnny's past, was more than capable, affording her own in a firefight. As High Brother, everything goes sideway. On the villain front, Clay's Rang, who slays as a calculating rabbing curse, a man breaking for his inimitable skull. Caving Wild May Away steals him as Rikio, enforceling with statistic menace. If you came for action, Ding Crew delivers it by the troubled. Stowe says he searched places with a skill, clarity, and beautiful impact from bone-cradling hand to hand. Combat to full. Vo is in the destruction that Highway says have intel war zone, while Command Kate up unleashing her in a storm of bullets and fist. This is old-school action reborn. Muscular and unapologetic deliver with immortal fi. Even every close land, every punch hurt, and when it does settle, the title has never felt more earned. The Wrecking Crew is loud, proud, and gloriously excessive. Exactly what a gay action film should be. With Angel Manuel sort of faring on all slander, and Bisa and John Momo operating at big charisma. The combined following through Jazz Momo and Gista, the mega mirrors of the Wrecking Crew, would be enough to fuel the nanosphere and crashes for decade. The appeared persona and pack roller to work. Induction committee playing Bay Brothers during our joke, and the hardcover violence in equal measure never securing enough in your direction to reach the lovable of the Fast and the Furious film, or the voile spirality of a direct-through video brawler instead of Wrecking Kyo, support between channels like Rich for Caught by the Ride for 2 hour. The secret cycle between family trauma, Goofy Hanoi, Medial Throw, and Vamp Bang Slugfest, directed by Angel Manuel Stowe, and written by the Geneton Troper of Momo and Bisas. The Wrecking Crew Bisaya, two burly boys of opposing temperament, have to team up to solve a crime. His Jinx and a Ming body count censure with his strange sibling Jim, despite how they are introduced, are effectively the same, a buy one get one free Costco maid department, directing you many initially in the James Navy sale, hard as stitching regret in Hawaii and Journey, but when her dad is murdered, the United figure out what happened and marriage into a single stand by leaving 2 to 3 heirs. Farm to Simple set up the initial gram. Their private eye for home leader has spoken. Junior sins a package ride before, is run down by a van. In the opening scene, the Wrecking Crew try to stop its plot, away the convolution, and run around the kind of cluttering misdirection and that is usually hand away by the chemical atmosphere and hand detector eye of nowhere. Here, Johnny and James are the exact same kind of the vanilla bad house burning through our mystery, clear to everyone by them, and various new characters slow easily into a predetermined and sec who serves as a surrogate legal weapon captain. There is a shady businessman, clear with a vibish and family friend politician, obviously in Kahat. There is a comic relief Tiger Nord, who desperately need to be escaping, and the brother's wife girlfriend Morena, who exists in the alternatively Neck and Fawn. Over the Helen man is spoiled by Yokuza, any mob it is, look like a bullet list. Use a crab JY over hour before a big presentation about your mom team-up movie. Does it present you a feels like watching The Wrecking Girl that your muscles sweat a story, with a tone that is clearly only aggression and relaxing crime, glitches and left-field emotional melodrama, with Leek swinging stupidly as she is greater, moment out of the Evil Dead rise? Perhaps the most disappointing part of the Wrecking Crew is that both Mom and Bista have worked with an engaged type to charm, before proper Saga's self-awareness, with every side character commenting on the delayed, undeniable dumb joke error, and yet through have every opportunity to rebel against this. And Bodhista. At least he is ostensibly playing by book military man. They fall into their hotel. We don't ever have a embarrassing. They are playing stupid, but not so enough, and the two similar kind of stupid to generate any kind of driving affliction between them. Their biking is thoughtless, and it approaches to investigating how underworld mostly involve highly telegraph punching, so those surfaces are similarly underwhelming since a storming compound and outrunning helicopter, or as Delvator has yet to fight, seen mimicking the old by Harway. The heavy-setting dueling better premises and egoless charisma, half-late both in Momo, made a superhero character into enjoyable dance. Not to mention their ability to get silly in kids' movie, offer plenty to set breaking crew both from his brainless Haken, taunting vehicle player. But outside of some local slang and sandy shooting location, there is little that's memorable. Even a rancid drive and intangible action are not especially notable for a two-bender like this. It's rarely the case where the film would actually be improved by leaning into its horror impulses. But if the wrecking crew had gone far of cinema, it might have at least felt like Hitmaker having fun making a mess. Helmanuel S.E.O., from the sassy games to the questionable center politic. There are more than a few ways in which B-relationship goes like a throwback to the 8-Oi from Kong after late 2000. But perhaps the most obvious is that it based on a self-help book, a niche that previously gave us. He's just now dead to jet. Here is a self-help book is question in an explicitly fear-dating guy by Real Fear Oklahoma Posters Michael, who pops up in the movie to shake his idea about dating, intentionally. Because Facebook faithfulness. Her Instagram integrated, while that alone sound harmless enough to also got some slightly more thought on how women need to lower their standard while giving dedicating flavor excess a second chance. He had those retro theater ideas, and a movie that had a fair share of retro charm, too. More than most rom-com director working understand the power of a big, cheesy dance where it did close net friend BL out. A lot of relationship go is unbearably old-fashioned in a good way. Half of it feel like an ad for old-fashioned value. Bond is a big success, is a car supremely locked into her family's 40. Every character has a depth of death, bone-killy, road, and glimes, mansming charisma, and confidence to their role as rival news producer, competing for the same morning. Slow Job Tosley has been working toward becoming the first female showrunner of Better USA for years. Now Sparkly fell between the former couple. Of course, they work on a story about he told book relationship goal, auto-dating marriage and sex, and while they have to care about it, thinly drawn Lee and Jay as people is fun enough to watch Roulette and Smith, to go through the enemies to lovers. Emotion in a kind of Hell Arc movie where two-needle lead gives up particularly in that performances, they are both likable again. Precess with solid chemistry, which is sometime you really need in streaming rom-coms. There is equal view to Ellie Basis, money show host PL, and makeup artist roles who get parole about how difficult it is to be a modern woman as Capia F. bring dating pool, while Bara can't get her longtime basketball player boyfriend to be proposed. I that has charm on can only take a movie so far. Leah tried to argue that a morning show can't just do a buff basis. On Jay relationship goes to much second time for the poster. He is wife of Faster, and he is writing that is generally start to feel like an informational. There are half a dozen short of people reading. Highlighting and sitting the book relationship goals does not have to be high, which make a shortcoming legs frustrating than they would be in a more ambitious romance as a bite of the forgettable Lost Valentine Day. viewing what he really just said. One could do worse, but those who don't, their own can't, intentionally go definitely to do better as you, watching your update of the art, President of Man, or one out of the Robert Bradford journalism, the American presidency. And so, political thriller, The Essential was, Water Gear film, come with a few new feature and a couple of rehashes A4. Special feature, but his real price is the film itself. Get ready to see one of the best phone call over, filmed in glorious 4K. Here is the other side of the journalism in film. No, also in 4K tank to Green Factory, one of Joke of Galential first finest performances, sustain this limb thriller set in the world of Newsringer, as the Grant travels ambulance and eventually does a little more in hope of stealing Goria and Goriah photos, before Jonathan Nealon and Lisa Joe, increasingly comparable, as we series, there was Michael 1973, directorial debut border malfunctioning android amusement park, between this and Jurassic Park. It does seem like a Christian thought to that Six Flag would be fermented. Downfall R has turned this up in a 4K and suffering with goodies. A new commentary track, the new interview ton of new writing, the palette of the follow-up TV show, and more supplement the sharpest few calls have gotten at the shop Sci-fi, Johann Beeman's 1981ing of King Archer Legends, Secure Earthly Possession, with Magic Blender Fantasy, was in fashion in the early 80s Can the Barbarian and a Beastmaster. A year later, Banana's Other Sword and Sorcery Contender approached the stay and artistry of the poor man, stunning epic which adopted metal story with a modern sensibility filter through Jungak 4. And if its soul-manity somehow bore you, it's at least always amazing to look at, just as a was born to be King. X-Library was born to be a fancy 4K limited extition and Arrow's new box. The movie finally realizes destiny. The 3D set include a 4K resolution of the AATed vertical card, as well as a Blu-ray, very first video release of rated version, commonly are seen on basic cable to audio disc. So whether it is on the HBO or TBS or Dreamtimer, will be able to embarrass their own specific nostalgia. We are all made as hell, and his new 4K of network is the only thing keeping some from going postal. Sidney lummed the Angle Party blistering as a crypt intracellular stare reckoning with the attractiveness of Raise the Corruption of the News and the over-tightening tent of cash around, all facts of the American life. This restoration from Criterion features a 6-part making of a documentary, a feature Land Dog Known Cafe, and an easy new work done column is jamble work on a podcast unclear and present danger of sate into a political film of false dreams. Brad Summer was always meant to be. Flitting his very name implies a finite season. Likewise, a moment the title of the momentary airy falling pop star, Charlie Sexiest, Bad Summer Wind, on the she prepared to be out on the bread over, implies a temporarily hot that need to be struck. No Carly 24 album. Brad was a bigger success than anyone expected, aesthetic and branding. It did surpass that of the music itself after and including Kamala Harris adopting Islam green color scheme during her unsuccessful bid for president as a moment dispute. Charlie felt like everyone more or less left her allow to make the album because no one expected it to be so successful in real life, so remix her album and took Bread on before using the momentum to land a bunch of film roll and made a soundtrack for W. Shanghai. In her mockumentary is manifest as a plan to make a concert film, which would document Charlie's arena to her desire to keep Brad going as long as human lead were possible. There were conversation about shooting as a real Brad movie, but Charlie's declined to make one. I feel like my problem with a lot of musician documentaries is it often shows a musician coming up against some kind of opposition and eventually overcoming. It will be the hero, she told many flair, and has just not been my experiences. You know the moment instead. Imagine a true documentary. It serve as an obstacle that surely cannot overcome, and one that completely changes the kind of star she is. The moment that rehearses him look at like Daniel Bradford to her. Charlie rehearses Sati is her knife while riding along her on the floor, her underwater visible beneath her micro mini skirt. The scene is dancer half of a conflict with the two her dog directors Donatan, who has been signed by the Charlie's label. Charlie and her creative director stylist have agreed to be dog with the attracted agreement that Johansson would simply be recording the live show, that John San's point should be take control, making the live show as unimposedly as possible, to his film can reach the Vessices. There are a dozen pop stars who put on show like this, but is a hard not to see. One sequences the film's final where Charlie completely gave Jojo John plan as a references to the safety press to the biggest concert of all jam with a smash hit concern film and the Disney Plus to board Gonley's nightclub aesthetic and see the problem performs, lived in a Hot Topic outfit with lime green stick clipped into over her hair. Benita turned bad sell letter her back of dancer we sant lead and mark for the camera as confident called a frame car to the outside of the venue where a message from Amazon Music, the 365 Party Girl, for the comfort of your own home, like the lyrics of Simperative, is a knife. The solution has less to do with SW as a person than what they represent as a brand. LAR was a year-long globe, rowing self-metalizing epic. I liked the moment. It's literally work history. It was the kind of show you could go to with your 8-year-old daughter or 80-year-old grandmother. Swift can hardly take a credit for inventing the greatest yet, but it was unique for D2A to happen as Swift recorded and re-released her previously album. She and her team figured out how to keep a successful album cycle. A successful album cycle going in the perpetual success make her a billionaire to receive over. This is a level of mainstream commercial success that Charlie has never even come close to touching, even in the images of Brad Summer. In fact, on the broad track, Reindeer would have made the right choices by not making commercial success and Billboard numbers more of a priority. After Charlie still achieved, somehow died with Brad, the moment examined what it would even look like if the artist blended Hardaway and sold the way out, allowing her to define herself, engage a tot-style pop star to defend her new find and able, to as many as possible, Harfield Margaux, to look bland, potently ridiculous in the moment, dangling in the air, dressed like a deer-arranged Tinkerbell. Charlie, not a looked too foolish that she's brought a tear this carrier, by just to be a personal be of value when sisses. Jetandeo, what kind of concern to put on sis? They make the point that unlike the ethnicity allergies, it is over. Charlie's door is not the kind of thing you'd want to betray your parent and your friend of Charlie's son, probably. Don't even talk to their parent, because those parents don't approve of their life's less. It's not a high statement about inclusive spacer. If anything, she made the argument for spacer that deliberately excluded and aligned some people for a benefit of other. Charlie makes up music that is often head-on stick and sometime knowingly vapid intended for an adult whores. And yet, as the moment sees Charlie given to that robot, a pure impulse, the fawns who revealed in Brad Summer precisely, because it was an adult-oriented space, have been sacrificed on the altar of Amazon Music. This new, sold-out version of Brad Summer may have a longer lifespan, but its services of people who were never dead into it in the first place, even in a moment, is a fiction. And that regard to board it does the bra era. Both in Charlie's work and in pop music, it was rebuilding against those on the other side during his period. Instead, call it salad era, the cost era. You quote, Emma, the moment draws both sides of this era to close by bringing them together by having Charlie sell bread, or as broadly as possible. In the film, Fox, involving a bread-branded credit card, also comically out of the control, that Julia Fox, her Gambler Harris, makes a point to distance herself. Her brand become too toxic and no one want to anything to do with it. The moment Rhea, her grand job parallel to her Myper real world, their bra summer was that giving Charlie what she want, the ability to move on at the expense of everything she built. It's very bad, which is to say, is every importantly a moment, not an era, not to be confused with the 96-year John Martin spy film, Breaking Crew, or 1000 ICJ Breaking Crew, or even 2008 great musical documentary, The Wrecking Crew. This first big tick wing for Jason's Momo Aquaman and J Guardians of Galaxy may be the true use of what movie title yet was based on the violent action scale those two superstar or the general everything inside, and that include each other. It is a featured atmosphere, a trial trailer this section committee, party for the small screen. It's saving on Prime Radio on witness-headed Anks attraction with the numerous and impressive over-the-top fighters would get maximum attraction. What is anything at all? This is a bigger battle of the bra with a beautiful scenery contracting the bloody blows of his demani. Seeing this all play out, you have to wonder where it look. When we meet cop Johnny H., he is not amidst of breakup with his long-term girlfriend Valentine. He is unhappy about this, but about to get unhappier when a couple of goons of the Japanese Yakuza arrived demanding a book supposedly sent to him, his new dad, for their vagger. He does not know what they are talking about, but gets into a major over-violent brawl with both of them, dispatching them as only he can do, with the gut-wrenching peon having now seen his strange brother James in Engineer, or even venturing back to Hawaii. In 20, unfortunately, he has to deal with his ex-Navy SEAL brother, and they are at all the mini to get there soon. However, they find they need a way to get along, and the Mahim begin, with several more fight of every set, until the pair completely loses it all together, and in the end, no less go, at nearly knocking each other out. This is where they lay out of their personal gyness using their fist, and I have to say, it's fun to watch. Still, they need each other for the greater cause of solving the mystery of their father's death, and more importantly, the larger looming political scandal. This is all leading to including the introduction of our chief villain, Marcus, who has big plan beyond a watcher and will stop nothing to achieve his goal in Hawaii. To get to him, you have to get through his personal army, but no problem, before they come to big film final and ultimate destruction. Thereby Johnny and James become Joni's ex-Valentine to Hawaii, where she delivers some of his belonging, but plan to go right back after a day on the beach in just minutes on the highway, and through Long Brothers and Friend, they all get involved in the single Best the Most Upset action surfaces of Vinay. Film, vehicular, helicopter, shriveling about the traffic guns, blazing from out of it. Jonathan Proper second played for this sort of thing. Even a Clayton Jan Lee emotional moment from Visa, and especially Momo, then you saw brings him to having a grand playing the I Want It All villain. How pieces it is amusing to watch. Dropper is an interesting set, inviting choice for this assignment, since some of his moral cerebral past him film, like this is where I leave you, and don't prepare us for his body. Slamming work, but he's a very sledge boy. The angle man will prove he can handle the heavy action, flipped as well as giving each of his to star the right balance and the second charm to make fans satisfied. Both sides are in their sweet spot with this material and manage to be handle not just a Huction cushion, not to be confused with the 1968 DNA Helm spy film The Wrecking Crew, or the 200 Wrecking Crew, or even the 2008 musical documentary. The Wreck King, this will first be name of Jass's mom, and maybe the TR of the movie, that yet is based on the violent action scale those two superstar of the channel drags everything inside, and that include each other. It is a one attempt on MGM Studio trailer, this action comedy for a small second on Prime Video on Witness Day, rather than any attraction where the unarious impressive the fight and chases would get maximum direction. It is anything at all. This is big a battle of the bra, with the beautiful Hev recontracting the bloody blow, of which they are many. Unfortunately, he has to deal with the ex-Navy SEAL brother, and they are at odd minute to get there soon. However, they find they need a way to get along, and mayhem began with the several more fight of every tribe, until they pair completely lost it altogether, and I no less go at it nearly knocking each other out. This is where they lay out all their personal glynesses using their fist, and I have to say it's fun to watch. Still, they need each other for the greater cause of solving the mystery of their father's dead, and more importantly, to larger blooming political scandal. This is all leading to including the introduction of our chief villain, Marcus Klesbang, who big his plan beyond the D of the water and will stop at nothing to achieve this goal in Hawaii. To get to him, you have to get through his personal army, but he, no problem. Before we come to Bothig Final, an ultimate reception nearby, Johnny and James welcome Johnny Valentina to Hawaii, where she delivers some of his belonging bird plan to go right back after a day. In the beach. In just minute on the highway, Cho, along with the brothers and friend B, they all get involved in this single, best, and most absurd action. Surfaces are charming with a killer helicopter swirling about the traffic, guns blazing from out of it. They must avoid getting blasted to death, running into every other cars and surviving the wild death. Says of January movies, to doubt it's a dazzling piece, constant coordination, and gives to different films the title before it enters second play. Here's All Right. Note for this sort of thing, even electing generally emotional moment from this play Momo, then start being seen to having a grand charm, playing the I Want It All in the pieces, and is amusing to watch proper is an interesting second writing choice or discernment. And since some of his more seriable paste, like this is I Where I Leave You and Don't Prepare Us for his body's climbing work. At least it seems like the cast had fun and Momo have some time. You just need a mindless action movie to melty away the stress of a chic world show to the makers of The Wrecking Crew, as it certainly satisfies as escapist entertainment, perfect for kicking back and cackling with excitement. Fronted by a dynamic duo for hulking yet dashing leading man, Does Momo and jab his body, cop action comedy is packed with his stunned explosion. Joke and star power. Jonathan Proper's secret will clearly unfurl the complicated family dynamic of her brother Journey, and James Hill, J. Share Blood Daddy's issue, and impressively, Branny Physic. Introductions clearly illustrate how different they are, older brothers. James is introduced, meat-eating underwater, floating calmly and confidently in Lotto's pose, in a Navy still draining pool. As a commander, he used swill to hold jailbread for a minute on end, but he can't complete with his nickel while at work. Hajim is warm cooking dinner for his wife and 2 young kid. Then there's Johnny for often. Johnny is a cop who's using his suspension term from this for Motorcycle Dawn Road with his fed-up girlfriend. He has not spoken to his family or been back to the Hawaii in year when she's glad to. Drill is everted by the Yakuza assassin. Seeking a mysterious package, know how to handle himself after smashing it, man to pieces. He's heading to Hawaii to get answer and elegantly reconnect with his half-brother. When it come to be murder's mysterious bloodline, James and Joni are surely unserious. Joni snarl at local gangster who are not happy to see this black sheep back in their dark. James call at a local cop who throw his hand up in lieu of helping. But the brothers also aim this intensity to a change hated, what a declared elder resourcement, which will even spark into a sparking lord brawl that goes hard in hand-to-hand combat with a soulless lettering of genes to port in a infocted, despite the differences, and hard to do, make a sensational team, just as the earnest drama in Wrecking Crew chap into detention. Of classic to-cap movies like Little Ribbon or Die Hard photos, imaginative and silent stunt sequences, reconic action sequences from epic movie, there's a car versus helicopter chase of sex, which also star a moo and a hallway meal that recall Parko Old Boy. These are the kind of sequences that are made for theater, very odd, gorgeous images explored with booming sun. Scop rather fighting each other horror and Momo make a terrific old couple is the #1 no sense the trait manual mom's captain to clone while Johnny takes this murder. Me mystery with all the seriousness of a film. No detective he refuses to take himself seriously. This is very clear in the opening fight scene where a Yakuza member sneak up on Journey was using the toilet and places a sword to his throat. In response, Johnny spins around, laugh at the direct and sword fight, while S keep Momu's waist. The shaming of his shoulder suggested he are faking his pies. It's a joke that could cause him in life. So not only does not fake Joe tell us a lot about Vonyi, as psychologically, it's also damn funny. The Redger full on giggle fit that he does a callback, minute-let. It is, clearly, the evidence does know how to have fun without losing the edge in his action sequences. Simply put, the King Crew delivers exactly what you might hope for him for a body cop comedy. So definitely lays out in trilling action sequences upon a gorgeous backdrop punctuated by explosion, gunfire, and snarky repetery. The joke range from physical comedy to snappy sidekick, from Spider-Man Homecoming Zach Bloon to Witwing Remake, and tensions be not only Fury central mystery, but also the siblings Riverly between the embattled brothers. Then the kinetic chemistry between the Momo, bring it all together, form satisfying comics, and shout out to be Japanese singer-songwriter who bring John Val cool and imminency. Jake and Sakuza are together, slant a comedy, drama, action, suspense, and S into a movie that's a real banger when Bluebeal was released. August, back in 2023, I was introduced to Ansel Manuel Stowe as a director, and from that point onward, I wanted to see more from him. He understood how to bring his audiences into debate, a reaction, while also allowing them to brag and really connect with family. Video wrecking crew that proves that he is capable of this aging again, while providing action that will leave you tag back as continue to be the aggressively brutal Ed movie along. Angel Manuel S. bring-along actor that we have been waiting to see act in a movie together for a while. They finally arrives in the wrecking crew where they play a strange hobby Hell, and James Hell, who we have mysteriously pass away, and mustered for big girl conspiracy that could cheer their family apart. We saw this grand action film taking place in Los Angeles or New York, and even sometime in the UK. That is nice change of pace to get an action movie that's set in different location and crew. Talking of student Hawaii, with a lovely new setting to crack bone and spill blood. It also come with a lot of the cultural significance in Hawaii, and it's mainly felt within the family drama of The Hell. A lot has gone on between Johnny and James since they were kid, with Johnny being the bastard son of the family and James feeling like it was daring a hole in the family. There is a heartfelt scene between Joni and Jim, which both and Momo bring a plot of hearts. But a sad bag worries a placement in a movie. From the start of the film, you can only predict that a moment where the two brothers get reconciled is going to happen. It's only a matter of when, and unfortunately it happened in the worst place possible and messes with the overall pressing of the film. Is generally a beautiful scene, but how it goes from action scene to heartfelt moment and back and forth take us away a bite of the emotion from the scene. This movie also introduces the character of Pika, a character who used to work for Joni and James' father, but is her now helping their mothers there try to figure out who was behind their father's death. The only problem is Pear is a character that feels completely unnecessary to the movie and ultimately wears Jacob Badloon as a costing while watching his son. You can't help but feel he is literally being tough as a guy in the chair. There are numerous scenes where you will wonder why of the brothers couldn't have handled it. They are two aspect really wrecking crew truly dressed, and those are in action and humor. This movie is laugh out and Lord funny, which Mom not only just having great comedic timing, but also bringing a lot of life to his sack to help enhance his glitters, ridiculous and out great attitude. It goes without saying that a lot of humor might not sit right with people and could easily offend, but it's a comedy of the early 2000s, which has been missed, which make his movie a complete blast, the action and how both Momo and Bisa work together. To make this scene entertaining is already enough to make this film worth watch your while. There are two specific scenes, a highway scene and a halfway fight, which stand out. The wrecking crew never goes small with his action, and when they are in action sequences, and admittedly it going with an extra one or two to help with his guessing. It pulls out all the cord with the explosion damage but body parts and the stunt that take your breath away. It's not your Draction extremely comical and a cartoonish. The Wrecking Crew is a body cop movie that we have been missing, and it's exactly the type of film that I would love to see back on our screen. It does not take itself too seriously, has elephant in the world with its character and action, but still tried to ground a relationship and family drama. Angela's manuals sold ensure that they are an ever-idle moment when the action is freeing, and Momu and Javche as brother brings another layout to film, which was needed by the pacing issue, a charm that could be shortened and certain character failing unnecessarily. The Wrecking Crew might be the first Genian surprise of 2026. Generally Ton should be the jumping ground for story of air and expressive to relegate to the dreaming. Every now and we get a decent fleet during the coldest part of the year, but it tend to be possible rather than actually could the long-awaited pairing for Jasmomo, and Jay should have all but guaranteed that Red Link could get a cycle release, but Prime Video is just as good for an option that won't make you bunch up to check out this buddy action comedy. The King Crew is a fun and violent action movie with a sense of humor. We have not enjoyed seeing the high day of Lethal Weapon or Bad Boy with a solid villain and events and chemistry of Mama. The Wrecking Crew is welcome lots of big screen fun available right at home, rather than go to the road of departing two cops in the line of duty. The Wrecking Crew introduces us to Be Strange how her brother James H., living in a honking on a reservation in their father Watcher is a private investigator who is killed in a hit and run. That journey learned is a reuse when a bunch of the Yakuza show up at his home, returning to Hawaii for Versailles and to investigate his murder. Joni and James immediately fall back into their dysfunctional dynamic, despite attempt to introed by their cousins Hani, Frankel and James' wife Lenny, with some help from family friend and the governor of James and Joan, investigate what happened separately and together one day can get out of each other well long enough when working alone. Both Momo are capable of carrying the narrative, but a movie becomes a blast when they are together, including Sin, with Detective Renard doing his best expert superior impression, and W's assistant, since a movie like this requires a solid villain. Directing crew employs Drago actor Bang as a Marcus. Bang already has to look a sweaty Bond villain and bring this needed gravity as to playing who is a good physical threat possible at Momo and Batista. Every good villain needs a primarily henchman with Mia filling. The role has a cocked-up Yakuza swordman. Most of the Wrecking Crew has a lady beating Dawn Nameless talk in a gunfight, and the car CS, but eventual showdown with a well build-up. The trailers show of some of the biggest set pieces, including in a highway chase involving helicopter, that be some underwhelming CGI, but in the context of the movies, it worked out pretty well. The action throughout his solid wrecking grew building no punches in the level of violence. Skull gets smashed and limes are trapped of multiple jump, and some of the bad guys are dispatched gruesomely. It has been a while since a buddy action movie has gone back to the basic movie from the 80s and 90s, where the racking of crew hoiding the bordering on our use John Wick's affection, despite David originally being attached to direct. What worked best for me in this movie is that B-Mom and S, rather than trying to delay Angine in the Apple TV series and B-Star in the John. Despite not sharing any sim, this movie has been a long time coming, has a real-life friend who wanted to project their good appealing together. Both have funny moment into their credit. But Momo is a far funnier Lawson of peer, with the primarily the by-the-books, the treatment man. Neither Johnny nor James is afraid of the killing the bad guys without a second thought, especially in the name of the protecting their family. Once more, in Breen, joins a mix as Joni's girlfriend Valentina. The movie picks out a pair clocking in the jaw, just a body of directing crew hits, all the hallmark of the body of formula, and is pretty true to the channel, which are nice heaves. We don't often see movie like this set in Hawaii, and the change of local adds some freshness to the experiences. The concept of Wrecking Crew came from Jay and Jason Momoa, who hold to the idea with a screenwriter, John Proper, who rocked the board actor when he was showrunner on. C. Proper has experienced his reaction testing return for Sanby and Ver, as well as the upcoming server starfighter, Dropper. Now the Concert A designer and dick to the overall formula, while ensuring the characters are likable and action and comedy fun. Directors Anel Manuel Stood, who have a great Interact City. Kings and Cut His Big Bud did on Blue, with an energy and sense of fun that has been missing from the Action Channel for quite some time. The King lies up to be titled with a non-stop loss of violent action that does not let her from beginning to end. Seeking close to the tropes of the E-Cure, the film gets a boost from the pairing of Jeff and Jen Moo, who have proven that they make a dynamic job. I would love to see the story, Jim, after having a good time watching this movie. My biggest regret is not getting the chance to see in this theater where I am a positive. Dar reaction would have been very strong. The Wrecking Few have been very strong. The crew gives Hawaii the Hollywood block versus treatment while including an indicious cause. It may not be the most original concept, but it works. Big guys beaten, and guys and occasionally each other too, is the basic idea behind a new Prime Video action movie starring Dev and Jan Mo in the unimaginatively titled Directing Crew. Not be confused. Does an aired Music Dog or Dark Sci 1968 Martin movie that oversized test let actor play a strange half-brother Hoochim? To the investigator factor, Directing Crew set out to be Raven and a formula. But later in it, all of the familiar 12 are those lovely Mari pop song thing they. Action including one film. Colleen just remind you profane banters between the two, main character to deep and less white show, and chess colorful villain, regarding the last deliciously named Marcus, and played by Rebound Spotting to Stop Node. Oh, and let's not forget the perpetually aggrave superior, played by Stefan Rode, who delivers line. Like Consider This Year Your Final Warning or The Helpless Sidekick, Jacob Tom Holland's Spider-Man film, who is usually the brunt of joke. The Wrecking begins, streaming, up on Prime on Thursday. The official summary for the film read too. As Stain half-brothers, Donnie and James are forced reunite after their father's mysterious death as they sought out to be uncovered. It truth, but it's a clear for surf faces and loyalty. Our test is unveiling together. They are ready to write anything that gets in their way. Set in series of the film is directed by Angel Manuel Stowe and also Starbank Loans on Stephen Road and Morena by Green. Currently, the Wrecking Crew has a critic score of 82%. Fresh and Routine Tomatoes based on his 17 review. The art critics consists adding sales summary and popcorn material. The ratio of variety also gives the Wrecking Crew a fresh score on Archie writing in his review summary. The Dark Side movie is all how well Momo fired off each other once Johnny returned to his row. In her, the action stars made out. To great actor Jacob Clubb is the only target on artist so far who gives a wrecking clue. I wrote in review, Jesus' mom carry the weight of Boob Buddy Cop, blows them up on Jay Formidable, shoulder in directed Angel Sodas, of Wrecking Crew a slightly higher. Great action film that will tease you with a fresh concept and funny banjo, while simultaneously defilating you with the body number tropes and twisties. The King Crew leverages the combined B of his two superhero less for an 80s by 90s style. throwback adventure but is only half successful, and every joke that actually hands shine a sad spotlight on a turtle line that flat and uninspired. It's a step forward, step backward situation. Bisa is no slouch, but he is very much a quieter storm. Here there are moments when the two find their scabbing siblings and the story comes alive. But again there are many recycled elements breaking the whole operation down, like the entire array of the villain, and in Nefarious Game, which feels like only point of being intense in dental, and dropped at a point, keeping intact that node action movie building block, adhering to the familiar mold even when more interesting element loom large. I'm giving the Wrecking Clue the benefit of the doubt by truthfully written Jonathan Dropper has given us a much better bulb. We're here for your friends and neighbor. That being said, there's a Yakuza 5 near the beginning that feel like I recommended to re-watch Banshee. It's actually such a lively brawl that it make you that the rest of the movie will match it, but only part to it. Writer-director Jan Black have been on your direction, comedy mismatch you general decade ago, but even he was able